When you turn 25, your brain development stops. At least at the prefrontal cortex, it's at its peak. So there's some things that everyone should do before they turn 25. I made a list of them for my 25th birthday. Let's jump right in. Okay, so the first thing that every single person should do before they turn 25 is move away from home. Move away from your hometown, get out of there, get in a new social circle, get in new social environments and places. And what this thing allows you to do is allow you to actually challenge your beliefs, challenge the things that you grew up with, and say, what do I really believe? What do I really want out of life? Because inside the social construct and context of your family, your friends, the people that you grew up around, the people that saw you grow up, right, and have certain beliefs about who you are and how you're supposed to act or how you do act, right? It's really hard to break out of those molds when those people are all around you telling you who you are. But when you're able to leave, you're able to challenge those things, challenge the belief, really look at who am I, what do I believe, what do I want out of life? Right? There's something that I always say, you can't truly believe in something unless you're willing to not believe in it. Let's say you grew up in a village where they tell you that 2 + 2 = 5, and then I'm able to show you undeniable evidence
دو برابر دو 4 حتی میدونین که 4 میشه
تخته رو نگاه کن
تو هم که میدونین 4 میشه چیزی نمیگی
سکوت
that 2 + 2 is actually 4. I'm able to take like 2 items and 2 items and be like, hey, look, now there's 4 items. If you were still going to go back to your village and be like, hey, you know, when I get back to my village, I'm going to still say 2 + 2 is 5 because like the social pressure and I don't want people to think I'm crazy and weird and dumb. Like, then you can't actually say that you believe that 2 + 2 is 5. You're just adopting the idea so that you fit into the social structure. But if you're willing to say, hey, I think 2 + 2 is 5, but like, if there's a different, if 2 + 2 is actually 4 and I find that out for myself, I'm willing to walk away. I'm willing to, everyone think I'm stupid, everyone think I'm dumb. I'm willing to face all those people and tell them, you know, 2 + 2 is 4. And from that place, when you get to that place where I'm willing to find the truth, the real truth, you can have a belief that's real. Then you can truly believe something. And so when you move away, when you get outside of those environments, you might find that the belief is still the one that your village gave you. You might have grown up in a village that tell you 2 + 2 is 4, and you go out and you find 2 + 2 is actually 4. But once you find it for yourself, you have this conviction and this power, and that belief is now able to do something for you rather than just be something that you adopted from the people before you. And when you're able to find those beliefs for yourself and stand on those as like, this is a belief that's mine. It doesn't matter what anyone else has, like, this is my belief. That's when you're able to have power in that belief, and that belief's able to actually do something for you and push you forward in life. All right, the next thing that everyone should do before they turn 25 is drop out of college. Now, give me a second. There is some weird scenarios where you should stay in college, you're gonna be a doctor, lawyer, whatever. But here's my problem with college. In order to actually learn something where it becomes a part of your being and like who you are and you understand it, it takes study and then it takes experience. And when you've studied and you experienced it and you studied and you experienced it, it creates something that's an actual lesson. It becomes a part of you. You no longer like memorizing it on a flashcard. It's actually real, right? It's like those things where your parents have told you your whole life and then you experience it, you're like, holy crap, they were right. Even though that whole time they've been telling you it, you have the experience and now you know it, right? And it's really hard to know things in college because you're not getting the experience side, or it takes you so long to be able to get to the experience part. Same thing in business. Like if we're turning over, you know, testing something, getting back data like multiple times a day on ads and campaigns and split testing pages and learning what's happening in the market and what's working, what's not working. Like we're getting all of this data back in days versus like college is going to take me, you know, 4 years before I even get to run my first test, right? So it's just very slow. And so, you know, I'd be cautious as to, is that the right place to get education? You should be getting educated. There's something that Jordan Peterson said on this topic. I'll just read the quote. He said, someone asked him, should I be going to college? And he said, he kind of was like, you know, like it's situational. But he said, if you're not going to go to college, you need to ask yourself this: is this not right for me, or am I just useless and lazy? Right? Are you actually analyzing, is it the right thing for me, or are you just being useless and lazy? So if you're going to drop out of college, it can't just be like, I'm going to drop out of college and go do nothing. It's like, I'm going to drop out of college because I'm going to seek education in a more efficient way for what I want in my life. I've spent literally more money on my education in the last 4 years than I would have on the Harvard education. Like genuine dollars, like if we've done the math, it's crazy. So make sure you are replacing that with going out and getting an education. The other thing I love about college is it is a good place to meet other people who are doing stuff. Like I found my wife there, and it's a good place. Like people are disciplined. It takes a lot of work to go to college and get good grades and all that stuff. So it's like there's a general essence of like people who are doing things with their life. And so don't just, if you're gonna drop out of college, replace your dating pool with like just the people at the bar. Like, you know, find ways to get in good social circles again. Other place of that you can get massive education that's in my opinion, way more valuable than college, because these people have actually done the thing, is finding mentors, finding real people who have done the thing, they've walked the path that you want to walk, and then going and learning from them. Sometimes you have to pay them, sometimes you have to like serve them or find ways to give them value, but find mentors that you can bring into your life that'll help you, walk down the path faster that they've already walked. One of the biggest mentors in my whole life is my dad. Like, he's been incredibly impactful from the day I was born till now. My belief, my mindset, my discipline, everything that I do, he's been pivotal in helping raise me and develop those things inside of me. And then even in my business, like what he's done over the last 30 years with nutrition, and that we've been able to build on that platform of his knowledge and his experience with formulation and everything, and knowledge and knowing people in the industry. It's been massively impactful to have him as a partner in this game, and he's just an incredible mentor. Finding those types of people, not only my dad, like I've gone out and found people like for every part of this we want to figure out, e-com and sales and marketing and people and leadership, right? Like I made a list before this of like who are some of the mentors I've had since I was like 20, and the list is pretty crazy. It's like my dad, Calder Bonnet, Ian Dickson, Colin Wayne, Russell Brunson, Clyde Bonnet, Chris Smith, Matt Harwood, David Meltzer, Tony Child, Sam Falsaffi, Max, David, BQ, and Jeff. That was a cohort. Kevin Karchner, Digital Jeff, Gerard Adams, Keith Yackey, and Brett Harwood. Right, my life accelerated at an insane rate when I found these people, and a lot of them paid them to teach me. Right, Ian Dickson, for one, it's like I paid him $6,000 and he's literally made me millions of dollars. And I found him inside of a group where he was just a little bit farther ahead than me. Hey, so find these people, and if you can't afford a mentor up front, because I originally couldn't afford physical like life mentors, I had to just read their books and things like that, or go to their events. Right, that was how I met Ian, was like through a different group, an event, a mastermind. And these masterminds are powerful as well because you're in a group of people who are doing it. I still go to events, still go to masterminds, because these people, I'm elevating the groups that I'm with, elevating the people I'm around, and it elevates me and I help elevate them. And so you got to be in these groups and these social circles. It's like leaving town, like it's going and getting around these groups of people that are living at a higher level, and it inspires you to do the same, and they know the tricks and tips and hacks to do it. So go out, get in masterminds, get in events, find mentors. And even before that, before I was even able to afford to go to events, it was just reading books. My dad used to pay me $10 to finish any nonfiction book, right? Like an actual self-help book. And that's how it all started for me. The whole self-development journey and improving and wanting to make money and all that stuff started reading books. The 2 books I would recommend, just for a quick plug, if you're like, I don't know where to start. One's the Bible. And like before you like shy it off, it's like, read the Bible and find summaries and examples and stories of like, what's this parable mean? You will find a depth of knowledge there that's insane. It is concentrated wisdom in every single line of the Bible. And then the other book I would recommend is what I call the Bible of Success, which is Think and Grow Rich. If you haven't read Think and Grow Rich or haven't read it in a while, you got to go back to that book and actually do the stuff it says. Create a definitive life statement, do all that stuff. It will change your life dramatically. That is the book, along with the Bible, that I would say has had the biggest effect on me. Wow, that light just went out. Okay, now everyone should do this before they turn 25. They should compete in a bodybuilding show. Here's why. There's a level of commitment and discipline to actually get on stage at your leanest. It takes months and months of preparation and focus. Your meals, your diet, your workouts, your cardio, your lifting, all of those things have to be on point, and it shows yourself what you're capable of. It gives you a new gauge of like, man, if I'm willing to be that disciplined, that committed for the rest of your life, you now have that as a gauge of like, that's what I'm capable of. And you now have something to measure yourself up against of like, hey, am I going 100% or am I showing up halfway? Right? And there's this quote from Alex Hormozi that I love. He says, you don't become confident by shouting affirmations in the mirror, but by having a stack of undeniable proof that you are who you say you are. And a bodybuilding show, a triathlon, a marathon, those types of events, they give you an opportunity to say, can I really go 100%? Can I really give my all to something? And when you've done it, you now have something to look back at and be like, I know I can do it. And now when you don't want to do something, you don't want to show up for something, you're feeling tired or whatever, you're like, hey, I know I'm capable. And you show up with real confidence, real control of yourself and discipline because you know you've done it in the past. Not because someone else could do it or, hey, I know it's possible because someone's done it. It's like, no, I know it's possible because I am it. I'm capable of it. It is who I am. And that's something that's only accessible when you go out and do it. So a bodybuilding show is a great way to do it. You could do a triathlon or a marathon, or just find something where it's like, hey, I'm going to lock in for 3 months or 6 months and be 100% committed to this, right? Before you're 25, do something where you can be 100% committed to it for a short stint of time, whether it's 3 months or 6 months to prepare for a race or a triathlon or a bodybuilding show. Do something where you can put in 100% commitment so that you have this thing to look back. It's like, that's undeniable evidence that when I say I'm going to do something, I can do it and I can go in 100%. Now I have that power in my businesses, my relationships, everything that I do. Okay, so similar to number 3 is to start your own business. Now, the reason it's similar is because this starts to give you this confidence and this belief and this experience of going all in on something and figuring something out. But it also does something else and did something else for me, which was give me self-reliance, give me the ability to believe in myself that when my back's up against the wall, I can figure it out even when I don't have, other people, my parents, my friends, these other people to fall back on. And it's hard to create that when you're young, especially when you're like in high school and things like that. I remember when we launched Gains in Bulk, I was 17, me and a couple of my friends drove out to Ohio. We had a trailer and we had this old F-150 truck. I think there was me and 3 other guys in the truck. And we're driving home, it's 3 a.m. in the middle of Joplin, Missouri, and I'm driving and I look back and all of a sudden I just see sparks flying off the trailer. We're in the middle of nowhere, it's middle of the night, and I remember feeling like, oh my gosh, like there's no one to call. Like I can't call my parents, I can't call anyone. I was like, there's no money, it's not, like there's like only I can figure this out. Like I'm just here to figure it out. And I remember literally walking around the town, dragging the trailer up to the next town, walking around from like the gas station to different places, like asking people, do you know anyone? Is there a way to get some? Having to convince this guy at the shop, like, hey, we're on the road, we got to get back. Like, can you please put us ahead of other people? End up making it work and figuring it out. And I remember that day when I got that figured out and we get back in the car and we're driving home, it was like, man, like when it comes down to it, I can figure stuff out. And having that experience, like I feel like that was the day I felt like, I think like, man, I'm a man, I'm capable, right? And it gives you that like self-reliance and that ability to move forward. And so starting a business is a powerful experience to give yourself that. There's also an aspect of starting a business to experience being a creator. When I think about being a business owner or a creator, I think of one word, freedom. If you consider the first line in the entire Bible, it says that in the beginning, God created. And he didn't just create. God created from a darkness, a void, a chaos, and turned it into something beautiful. And I believe we are born to be creators, to turn our darkness and our chaos into light. And creating equals freedom. People are unhappy because they are not creating. They're sitting in the darkness and chaos of their lives. They're stuck in their 9-to-5 jobs. They're stuck in crappy relationships, just waiting for them to end. They're just waiting for the weekend. Thank goodness it's Friday, let's have a drink. Those people have accepted their fate. But I believe in free will. I believe I am free, and my businesses and being a creator is one of the ways I create freedom. So start today. Launch the business, start your brand, start your YouTube channel or the TikTok grind. Whatever it is that you desire to create, chase that, because that will set you free. Life is too short not to create. And if you are waiting around for a sign, God is sending you a sign. Go and create. Now, this is something that everyone should do, but especially young people, because a lot of times young people just don't seem to care about it. And it's discover about your ancestors. There's a power in the ancestry that you have inside of you, inside your DNA. If you look back at the people, what did they go through? What are the principles that they embodied? And discover those for yourself. If you can look back and study and ask your parents and ask your grandparents and ask different people about, hey, who are some of our important ancestors and what did they go through, and learn their stories. And then you can choose principles that person embodied, and you can realize, like, that's me, and then you can embody it. All right, so some of the ones for me, Heber J. Grant was an ancestor of mine, and he embodied faith and massive faith and miracles that accompanied him in stories. My grandpa, Lyle, he was a fighter. He was in World War II and escaped. And so I think of him when it comes to just being willing to go through it and to suffer for others and to fight for the things that we care about and our freedoms in life. Jedediah Morgan Grant, he was someone that had power when he spoke. They talk about, there's a book written about him, and they talk about when he would give a sermon, it would inspire people. And I draw on that of like, man, okay, I can speak, I can empower people the way he did. And he was a hard worker. He walked himself across the entire United States as a pioneer. My papa, who just passed away a little while ago, he's someone that embodies to me the essence of being a man, taking the responsibility that you have in life and owning it. I remember when I was 12 years old, and he grabbed me in this room, and we were going through some crazy stuff with my family and losing some things and lost our house, and we're losing this building, and we were moving the building because we lost it, my family business. And I remember him grabbing me and pulling me in this room and just saying, like, it's time to be a man, Braven. And it was like, that is a principle I'll carry for the rest of my life with me, right? And I can think about that when I'm feeling weak or feeling like a sissy or the responsibilities are too heavy. It's like my grandma just being like, be a man, right? My mom, who passed away when I was young, like, to have faith and understanding and a love for all the people around her, everyone who talks about her, like, oh my gosh, she was so loving, she was so understanding of me. That's something that I can try and embody, right? My grandma, who's just selflessly serving everyone and making dinners for everyone, and just these people, like, these principles that I can carry with me and embody. Even my name Braven, it comes from Braveheart, and my family's from Scottish descent, so I carry that of like this freedom and this bravery, and that's like my mission in life is freedom, to free myself and free others, right? And there's this awesome little clip from Andrew Tate actually, and he talks about, look, your ancestors didn't bust their asses, do everything they did, go through all that they went through, so you could just be sitting around jerking off to Pornhub and on TikTok scrolling all day, right? You think about what these people went through and the difficulties and the trials. My grandpa being in World War II as a prisoner of war in a Nazi prison camp, and you think about the people who had to like cross the oceans and start things and fight the old ways of being, and like all of these things that they had to go through. And it's like, are we making it worth the sacrifices they went through? And when you're able to like frame things in that way, it really gives you a power to show up powerfully in life. And so I would encourage anyone at any age, but especially young, to look at your ancestors and what are the principles that they embodied that you can embody. Okay, so here's the secret. If you're under 25, you have an unfair advantage, and the unfair advantage is a head start. You have people who are out just partying, out just doing nothing, wasting their lives away, learning useless things in college, or just out partying with their friends, or doing all this garbage. And if you can look at that and say, what are all the things those people aren't doing, and start doing them, you're going to start moving yourself ahead. If you can develop discipline and commitment and integrity at a young age, like, you're just so much farther ahead, right? It's like I'm 25 and a lot of people haven't even started. They're still in college. Like, they haven't even got to start at the starting line yet. So this principle is essentially intentionally develop discipline, because it's a thing that no one else under 25 is doing. There's some ways you can do it, right? Like bodybuilding show is one. We already talked about that. But like doing something that intentionally requires you to put in massive commitment to go through something you don't want to go through. That's discipline, really. And so things like ice baths, things like cold shower, take a cold shower every morning. That's something I do every morning. It's like this opportunity to be like, hey, like, am I willing to do that? Am I willing to put myself through something to get a reward, right? You can do a cold shower. You can work out really hard. Don't just work out, but work out really hard and like push yourself and get extra reps. You can wake up early, right? Like, so many young people, we don't wake up early, but if we wake up early, it's a head start on the day. It's a head start on life. Like, that's a massive hack. You know, fasting, I'll do fast every once in a while. I just did a 3-day fast, and it's like, man, it takes massive discipline to start the 3-day fast, and when it's 52 hours in and you're like freaking dying, to keep doing it because you said you're going to do it, to start a diet and finish it, and not be 3 weeks in and be like, I decided I want to change it up, and now I was going to bulk, but now I'm going to cut, or I was going to cut, now I'm going to bulk, right? It's like, no, keep those commitments and intentionally learn discipline. If you can do that young, you're literally light years ahead of everyone once they even get to the point of starting. Okay, so we've been through a lot of really cool things, but there's one last thing, and this is by far the most important. It's only going to take a second. I'm not going to get too much into the details of this next thing. At some point, I maybe would love to share what this has done in my life and my experiences with it. But I would just ask you to consider to do this, whether you're 5, 15, 25, 55, or 105. And I would argue that this could be the most impactful thing you could do, not just before 25, but at any age. And it's simply this: to go sincerely, kneel down, and ask God if He will find you.